Hi. Welcome to the first weekly video. Honors edition. Yeah. See, it's a video. I can do whatever I want. And you can't interrupt me. It doesn't matter if I say cucumber or dodecahedron. It doesn't really matter. Blah, 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 blah. What you gotta do, you can't stop this. Ooh, boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Can't stop this. Anyways, here are the things that we need to talk about to be more serious. Okay, let's talk about Part-Time Indian. You were all able to talk about the characters. I thought, well, Junior, Penelope, Rowdy, and Roger. One character that wasn't brought up was Gordy, who I thought was kind of an important character, just to make sure that Gordy is one of those characters that you will need to fully understand, especially when we get to our quiz, which will happening sometime next week. Don't worry, it's like 300 questions. You'll be fine. Other than that, I do want to touch base on some of the themes that are in Part-Time Indian. This includes the theme of identity. If you look at Junior, he feels split between not knowing if he wants, if he kind of feels like he's being kind of part-time by going to a white school. But in the end, he realizes that that's not entirely true. What's actually happening is he's being a part of his culture by actually leaving, which is why at the end he says they're nomad of. Yeah, that's correct. Another theme that we need to discuss at some point is juxtaposition, or this idea of overlapping opposites. This is something that Hollis brought up in the seminar, that there just seems to be a lot of things that are like right next to each other. Some of them more obvious than others. You have the two different basketball teams. You have the two different friends of Roger and Rowdy, both starting with R. Why is that like that? Maybe it's on purpose, maybe it's not. You have the two different types of teachers. You have his Junior's two names. You have his two different lives. So that's something that we need to talk about, which is juxtaposition. We need to also talk about a major theme, which is RPA. RPA is racism, poverty, and alcoholism. This is, a lot of you brought this up in the seminar, and I thought you guys did pretty well on that, bringing up that article with the monkey. One thing that we will be doing more often in this class is bringing articles into these stories. We need to understand that these stories can have these overlapping opposites, that these stories can have these sort of articles that kind of help us bring it forth. Moving on. Confession and revenge and forgiveness is kind of like its own theme as well. So being able to confess who you are to an individual is kind of a difficult thing to do. If you're confessing to someone a desire, for instance, you have a crush on someone, will you go out with, and then they say, you had to confess that to that person, and regardless of what you're thinking of that individual, if that is you or on the opposite side of that table, you have to understand that that takes a lot of guts, and it can be embarrassing. And for Junior, it is. He wrote this quote-unquote entire book. Not really as the author, but still. We have to pretend he wrote this entire book with the intention of showing that he has to confess to who he is. Going along with that is revenge. We tend to think that we need to get revenge on someone, which is like, it's a gut reaction. Oh, you took away my pencil, so therefore I'm going to burn down your house, Dad. Just kidding. Therefore, we just feel that need. Well, for Junior, he's realizing that revenge isn't all what it's cracked up to be. He was raised with revenge, which is why he has those rules for fighting. And we also have forgiveness, which is another tough one. We have to destroy the little bit of ourselves that's pride and actually confess to our own selves that, yeah, we need to be able to forgive one another a little bit better. And that's something that his grandma advocated for. Forgiveness. Forgive the drunk driver. Don't do this stupid thing. Don't go off and kill someone else. Don't make it worse. You have to forgive others, even if they're the way that they act, the way that they talk, the way that they move on their lives. They don't care regardless if you forgive them or not. It's just the betterment of society. And a couple more I want to talk about is loss and art. Art is a huge thing here, which is why he gravitates towards the arts. He even states at the beginning of one of the 2 chapters, I think it's Black Guy of the Month Club, he says that only brown people who gravitate towards the arts are the ones that are famous, which in a way is kind of the irony of the situation, because he, even though he becomes nomadic at the end, he does find his footing through his art. It's the only way that he can actually confess to himself and to anyone who's reading the book how he actually feels towards the end. A couple other things I want to touch on before I end the video. Number 1, seminar. You guys did great. You nailed this one out of the park. This is, though it was a 200-page book, it's a short book. Like I said, there was the video that was online. It was only 4 hours long. I thought 2 hours each night. You can knock that out of the park. You did. You guys did great. And I want to touch a little bit more on the 6 to 10 page paper, things I wasn't able to talk about in class. The hat will decide your fate. If, let's say, Lily wants Divergent and so does Lexi, well, guess what? The hat will draw one of you first. And if Lily's the one that gets it, sorry, Lexi, you'll have to choose another book. Also, email me if you're confused. And this list here that has all of these on here. Hey, look at me, I'm a real YouTuber. You can, if there's some books on there that you don't know, which obviously there's 100 on there, you might not know all of them, it would be a good idea to actually go through these books, look them up a little bit, try to get a little bit of a synopsis so you can make the decision. Don't just try to pick something because I've read this one. Try to actually experiment by reading a book that you think you might be interested in. Part of the learning process. Just to tease next week, we will be diving a little bit more into the 6 to 10 page research, 6 to 10 page analysis. We will look more into Part-Time Indian. We'll look at what's going to be on the quiz, and then we will move on to our next book. Excuse me. Which will be a book called Night. That's all I got for you. Now, honors kids, you be good people. I'm counting on you.